Hey everyone, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and I'm doing this video ironically just because I wanted to do one that was a little bit cleaned up. So thanks for joining me. If you are new to my channel, I would truly appreciate if you give a subscribe here and then you turn on the bell. It will tell you every time I'm live or I post a new video. And I would love a comment or a thumbs up. That would be hugely helpful because it will get me noticed on YouTube. So thanks for joining. So this is actually a card that Dawn Griffith shared on her blog some time ago, but she did one with a shaker card. But I thought this would be a beautiful card to use the first frost. Feels like frost. Oh goodness, it's right here next to me. Feels like frost DSP because it is really beautiful. It's photorealistic DSP, so I thought this would be so beautiful. Actually, it's so beautiful, in fact, that I didn't even put a sentiment on the front. So this is a really lovely stand-up card. You can put your sentiment there on the inside. This is from the Everything Festive stamp set, and I used a little strip of DSP. So long story short, I made an updated version of this, but when I made the video, I had a lot of trouble getting the fold correct, which is not unusual for me, so don't mind me. That's typical. But I edited the video, and I feel like it jumped around a little bit, so I am going to publish the video, but I wanted to do another version of it. That way there's a really clean version, even though I am talking here and it's live, but it'll be very easy to follow. And then you can get a second idea when you watch the one that's pre-recorded and been edited. The only reason I edited is because I fiddled around with the card base for 2 minutes and I thought it was a little bit much. So I made it shorter because I thought I would be completely irritated if somebody made me watch that. So we're going to make this today. Again, it's very simple. This one was using Balmy Blue and Night of Navy, and then the Feels Like Frost DSP. And then on the inside, I used Night of Navy, Whisper White, and just some little scraps. So we're going to do this today using the Most Wonderful Time stamp set. This comes in a medley. This also comes with a huge pack of 6x6 DSP. It comes with this set of dies. It's got a lot of stickers, a whole bunch of stuff. It's kind of like an all-inclusive kit, but it just doesn't have any ideas. So it's a great, great kit. So thank you all for joining me today while we make this. Hey ladies, thanks for joining. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make the base first, which for me clearly is the most complicated part of this card. But just to start, you're going to have a piece of cardstock. This is Mossy Meadow. Also, this is going to be a little bit outside the box color-wise. This is 8.5 by 8.5 square. And you're going to need a piece of the DSP, which I went with this one because it had the gold foil embellishment to it, which is really pretty, but you could use the other side as well. This measures 3 3/4 square. I also have 2 other pieces, well 3 because I want to cut something. These are very vanilla, 3 3/4 square, and then I have 3 pieces of crumb cake, which are 4 inches square, so 4 by 4, and these are going to just layer here. And then I have the rest of my scrap pieces, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little piece of it onto this very vanilla to kind of bring it all together. So I'm going to show you first how to make the card base. Then we will adhere the other stuff together, decorate it. It'll be really, really simple. So I am going to, just for sake of ease, I'm going to grab my Simply Scored scoring tool. And I do have a blog hop tomorrow, so if you aren't a follower of Rach the Stamper, I'd appreciate if you go to rachthestamper.com and you can follow me on there, and there is a great blog hop starting tomorrow with Team Stamp It. So we're going to score this on both sides at 4 1/4. So just rotate it 90 degrees, so it's scored 4 1/4. Oops, did I do that right? 4 1/4, 4 1/4, that's 8.5, that's 8.5, 4 1/4. Let me make sure I'm right here, 4 1/4. 4 1/4, 8.5. Yep, that's right. So then you're going to fold this in half both ways. And I'm going to try to be very simple because this is where I always confuse myself. You do want to make sure that you reinforce the folds on both sides with your bone folder because this cardstock is very heavyweight, so you want to break the fibers up a little bit. You want to do your absolute best to make sure that this is really scored in half. So if you feel better with doing this as a kind of fold it over in half and then do it so you can meet your lines up better, that is completely acceptable as well. So you really want to have a very square paper. If for some reason it's not square, we can always do a little trimming, so that's no big deal. So the other thing you're going to do is, and I do have a mat underneath of this, but if you don't have a mat, you want to have something like a paper piercer or something to that effect. And you're going to, again, grab your stylus, and you're just going to pick a corner. It doesn't matter which one. And you're going to score from this corner to the tip, okay? You're just doing this one time. So you're going to line up your ruler. Ruler usually is pretty helpful. And you're going to just score this just like so, okay? And then you can kind of go ahead in and fold your score line. You can kind of just hand crimp it, but you do want to do the same thing where you go both ways, both directions. Okay, so now we have our little bendy part here in the corner, and we're going to cut this piece right here. So grab your scissors, and you're going to cut. Now, here's one thing I'm going to tell you. Sometimes this little line is just a little bit of a hangover, so you certainly can go ahead and kind of trim off that score line, and you can actually do that for both. That way you won't have that little piece hanging. It's a little backwards when I'm trying to do this as a a right-handed cutter. It maybe you're ambidextrous and you can do it both ways, but I'm just kind of cutting off that score line because it's going to make it easier. So it has just the slightest gap. It's going to make it easier to make it very square when you put it together, okay? So here is where you're going to, if you're going to watch that other Daisy video, I did a lot of jumbo that I cut out. But basically now you have your pointy part up here in the corner and your slit is over here, okay? So you're going to fold this in half like that. So you just fold it flat down in half, and then you're going to fold this up so it makes the shape of an L. Okay, so now is where you're going to want to reinforce your score and make sure that it's flat. Then you're going to fold this flap down, and you're going to fold this flap over. And what's going to happen is when you glue it, this is going to make the front of your card. So really super simple. So I'm going to open this up one more time just to show you. And I'm going to, in the meantime, get out my liquid glue because that's how we're going to put this together. Move these scissors. So again, we're folding it straight down. We're folding the corner up to make the shape of an L. We're going to fold this flap. We're going to go ahead and put some glue here. And you want to make sure that you get enough glue that it is going to hold it, but you don't want it gooping out all over the place. So you have that, and then you're going to fold this over and press. You can even use your bone folder if you want. Make sure everything is nice and crisp. And there you go. That's it. Now, the only thing you have to remember when you actually decorate your card is to remember to put this on the front, and you want it to be not upside down. So you wouldn't want to put it like this because that's a whole different kind of a card. So when you put this down, what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and adhere this one panel to the front. So we have one piece of 4x4 and then our piece of this DSP. I said this actually as part of the blog hop. I ended up using this tomorrow. I really, really love this medley. It is so pretty. And I'm going to tell you, once again, super underappreciated in the holiday catalog because the photos of it just do not do it justice. So I'm just adhering. Again, this is the 3x3 DSP. I'm adhering that to the 4x4 crumb cake panel that I cut. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So just put some glue on the back. And again, making sure this is the correct direction. So the DSP is gorgeous, isn't it, Diana? I absolutely love it. It just truly, though, if they had a bigger picture, I think they probably would have sold out of this already because it is so pretty. And the reason I bought this, ironically, a different video. I watch Dawn Griffith a lot. She's very inspiring, wonderful demonstrator. And she was sharing something and I thought, wow, I must have missed something as a demonstrator. I totally missed out on that. Well, come to find out, it was this paper and I just never saw it. Totally overlooked. Okay, so now I have my two pieces of Very Vanilla. This is going to go for the inside, and then I also have two pieces of the base. So those are going to go inside. What I'm going to do really quickly is I'm going to trim just two pieces. So this is just a little leftover strip. I'm going to trim a 1/2 inch strip and I'm going to attach it to the bottom. You could use a different paper if you have one left over, but I kind of found that this was a really good use, especially when I did this with the first frost to use those, or Feels Like Frost, to use those little teeny strips that you might otherwise think like, what am I going to do with this? So these two are going to go onto that. And I'm going to also do one other thing. So there's one for each of those. I have a piece here that I'm going to stamp a sentiment on. And then I'm going to cut it out with the stitch shape, and I'm going to put this on the front. So I don't want something to be huge that it covers up the trees. So I'm trying to figure out, I think I might actually use this Merry and Bright. Is really pretty. So I'm going to do Merry and Bright. And then on the inside, I'm just going to put Wishing You Peace, Love, and Laughter in the New Year. You could also put the Winter Wonderland on the other side if you wanted something small. But that way it'll give you space to be able to write as well. So I'm going to do Merry and Bright for the front. We'll cut that out, and then for the inside, I will do Wishing You Peace and Love. And you could always, too, other thing you could do if you wanted to, maybe we'll add a little Christmas tree to the other side. Would be really cute. So we'll do that just to kind of jazz up that other side a little bit. All right, so let's grab some ink. So I am going to do this. I know this is really probably not super traditional with the Christmas colors because you probably wouldn't think of Crumb Cake, Gold, and Mossy Meadow, but I think it works really nicely together. So I'm going to do the front in Mossy Meadow for the Merry and Bright. Just making sure my ink is inked nicely. Just like that. And we're going to cut this out with our second largest stitched circle. I'm going to set this on the side. I'm going to continue doing my stamping first. For the Wishing You Peace, Love, and Laughter in the New Year. Okay, I'm going to put that one on this side. And I'm stamping this before I'm attaching it in case I goober it up. That way I can always go back and flip it. So I'm going to move that over. And then for this one, even though we're going to have trees at the bottom, so about the bottom ½ inch, I'm going to just stamp this, and I'm going to stamp it a couple times. So I'll do some in first generation, some in second. So basically stamping off. So I'll do, that way you could write a message if you wanted to. Kind of just moving it off just a little bit each time. And I'm going to ink this one more time, and I'm just stamping this off onto something. That way this one in the center isn't really, really bright. That way it doesn't take away from whatever you want to write. So I just did all of that in Mossy Meadow. You could always do a little bit of this if you wanted to with some gold embossing powder. If you wanted to emboss something, oops, that would be really nice as well. And just wipe this off so I don't have a smudge. So now I'm going to grab, where I just had it here a second ago, here it is. I'm going to grab my silicone mat just to make it a little bit easier. And I'm going to put, because I have some Fast Fuse handy, I'm going to put Fast Fuse on the back of both of these. Okay. And then I'm going to just attach this to the bottom. You could also attach it to the top if you'd like. There's one. And even though I know we have all these trees, it's going to kind of make it look pretty. So it'll give it like a little bit of a sparkle to the bottom there. You could also choose a contrasting paper if you wanted to, but that way it'll at least give you a little bit of room to write your message. Also, one other tip I must have smudged here. If you guys don't have this, this is a mono eraser. This is by Tombow. It's really great at getting off little ink smudges if you do it by accident. You can get this on Amazon. Really, really easy to use. And not expensive either. All right, so then I have my other two crumb cake pieces. So I'm going to put this here. A little bit on there. Put that one. This one is just a slight bit off, but that's okay. I'm not going to mess with it. This one I'm going to cut out in 1 second. I'm just going to put these two in here while I have it. So this will be the panel where you can write. Now, one thing I will say is if you have this and you're going to put a message, I would suggest writing your message before you stick it down because this little part might be in the way a little bit. So if you want to write something on this, I would definitely do it prior to that. Just because that way if you're disappointed and you're thinking, this is just not my best handwriting. So we're going to just slide this in. And sometimes it's a little bit easier to kind of move it over. Okay. That way you don't have to worry about, or flip it over, I should say. That way you don't have to worry about whether or not it's necessarily lined up correctly. And same thing, put this in here. Perfect. Also, one other thing, just in case you're wondering, let me see. I do have a envelope here. This will fit into a regular envelope. So it does fit completely into a regular, this is a regular size envelope, so fits perfectly in there. All right, so one other thing, all I have to do is just cut this out really quickly with my Big Shot. Just bear with me 1 second. Make sure I get it nice and centered. You could also, if you wanted to, if you used a smaller sentiment, you could probably back this with a gold scallop, which would be pretty, but I don't want to take up too much room just because of where it is, but I am going to pop this up with dimensionals. But I thought this was such a cool card idea. Plus, the other thing that's neat about it is you're using up little scraps of your DSP, but also, depending on what DSP you use, like I said, when I did the Feels Like Frost, I don't even feel like it needed a sentiment because it was such a beautiful picture. I really just didn't want to take away from it. So you could kind of put this down, you could put it right in the center, but I tend to like mine, probably because I'm right-handed, down a little bit and to the right. So this is a super card that, like I said, Dawn Griffith, I originally saw her share this, but she did it as a shaker. But I think this is such a wonderful way to make a card that really has a lot of great impact. The other thing you could do as well is you could cut yourself a piece of 4x4 paper. Now, it really doesn't matter which paper that you use, so you could certainly use DSP if you wanted to. So actually, I haven't done this before, so let me see what's not going to compete. I'm going to do this with this one just to show you. Again, this is a different card, different version, I should say, that Dawn did, which I think was a pretty cool idea. So I'm going to just trim this down to, and I'm not going to do 4x4 because we are going to be trimming it just a little bit. So I'm actually going to do 3 3/4 square. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to cut it from corner to corner. So I'm just lining up the points with the trimmer. And it should cut straight across there. Also, still a tip. I haven't done this since I've gotten the new trimmer. But I would definitely suggest cutting in the middle of your DSP. That way you don't rip it. But this trimmer is way more amazing than the last one, just as a little FYI. But what you can do is you can put a little bit of, and I'm going to do same thing again. I'm just going to do some fast fuse since I have it here. A little bit here, a little bit here, and then I just kind of roll it in if I need to. So if it goes over, it does come off pretty easily. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to put this down here at the bottom. And you're just sticking on those ends. And what this does, I missed just a little bit, is it makes you a little gift card holder. So then you could slide that in. And again, that was not my idea. But such a cute idea. So you could add a little gift card to it. And then you could put this one down if you wanted to, just to glue this all the way down. So I'm going to just put this whole thing down. But the great part about this paper is it has 2 really nice sides, which probably sometimes makes it a little hard to decide which one you're going to use. But I'm going to just kind of line this up. So it has a little bit of a border. Just like that. So then this piece is fully adhered, and this one has just a little place for a pocket. So super cute. Really easy. Really fun. This medley, if you have not gotten your hands on it yet, I'm telling you, it is such a great product medley. You get dies with it. You don't get the stitch dies, but you get dies that coordinate with it. It has stickers. It has this really fun, oops, I'm pulling it out now, this really fun tinsel trim. So you could have even put some of this behind this if you wanted to, kind of make it a little bit more fun. But it has this tinsel trim. It has several sheets of stickers that coordinate with it. Lots of fun. So if you guys haven't seen this product medley, I would definitely tell you to go. If you go onto my store, which is rachthestamper.stampinup.net, you can actually see the DSP up a little bit closer. But it is so pretty. All of them have at least one foil side to it. So you have the stripes and then the little stars. It could also go way beyond Christmas. You have candy canes. Another one that you will see tomorrow, one of the papers I shared, could totally go for Valentine's. Here's another great one with the stripes and the candy canes on the other side. You also have, hold on, there's one. I think there's at least one more. You have this, which is really pretty. These little frosted berries. And then trees. This is one of my favorites. I made a card with this, with the deer. Absolutely gorgeous. And then the stars. And then there is one more. I must have used a lot of this because there's not a lot left in here, I see. The presents, which are great. You could even trim these presents out. And it also has dies. So it even has dies that if you're like, I am not going to trim those presents out, you could use... Now, granted, somewhere this is going to have to line up, I know, because some of these presents do line up, but this has a stamp that goes along with it for these 3. You can stamp all 3. It'll cut all 3 of them out, but you can definitely use this to cut out some of the pieces here. I just can't seem to find any of them at the moment, but I know they do line up. So they also go with this little stamp set here, which is a 2-step stamp. So you can stamp this in 2 different colors, cut it out. You'll have 3 presents. You can put them under the tree. Absolutely adorable. So thank you guys so very much for joining me today live. I appreciate it. Like I said, I will post the other version of this, which I ended up doing with, I believe it was the daisy paper. Now that I think about it, it might have been the bird ballad. It could have been the bird ballad stamp set because I made it for my friend Rhonda. Her birthday was the beginning of this month. So great little gift card holder or just a great card to be able to share with someone that you love. I will post all the measurements onto my blog, probably not until tomorrow, but make sure tomorrow you do stop by the blog hop. You can get started at rachthestamper.com. Thank you guys very much for watching. I always appreciate the hearts, the thumbs up, the shares, the comments. Please, if you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe and make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way when I make either a new video or if I'm live, it will notify you. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you again real soon.